बाद संगे शिंगनि के पिवाई Chopananda Shangla Java Shon Anandawa Kamya Tayam.
First, I prestation to Buddha. Okay. So, today I think so. Weather is sleep weather.
It is sleeping today?
No. Weather is sleeping.
Sleepy weather. Yeah, everybody wants to take a nap. They all stayed home today.
So, the teaching and lessons all times we need to motivational change into motivations. And also generates think or think good in action. And so I listen to this teaching. So then I sharing and I helping to others just like this. Not for self, only me, only my this thing. 가르치고 상태나 가르치고 상태지만 아니 먼저 분들대로 루브체리 마음 최대 마음 아니 되게 치는 먼저 나중에 지나고 계시 나가 많이 받지라 나만 때 근데 상로 많이 넣어서 나만 많이 만나고 이제 시에는 나가 초기에 만나 초기에 만났어 그런 가게에서 하시는데 제가 어디 그 후에 때문에 시에에 말에 또 레멘도 받으셨어요.
So it's important to keep in mind that in receiving this teaching and listening to this philosophy, that we do it without the intention of thinking that we're going to convert other people. That it's really important. It's not really our place to do it. It's not really what we're receiving this teaching for, is to try to change other people to become Buddhists. So mainly the reason we take to really study this is so that we can change ourselves, so that we can be a more kind of a better person to help others. So as you know, there's so many religions in the world, and many times there's this kind of wish to bring others into one's own path, and so that's not our purpose. We're listening to this, we're studying this, so that we can understand others and understand what will bring them happiness, and how we can help them avoid problems and suffering, and try to use this philosophy and absorb it, so that we can bring about those changes in the world.
수도 채도 나라 도저 담 그거 담고 그거 깨진 시험을 깨진 게 제일 없다. 이 정말 많은 것을 치고 봐.
So, um, we all want, goodness in our lives. We want to be happy. And often, most people just do it for themselves. It's like really, that is like, the focus is on I and me and how I can better myself, how I can increase whatever it is that I feel will bring about happiness. So sometimes people will do it to gain riches, and in order to do that, they will lie, they will steal, they will kind of harm others. But as we know, that's wrong, and we should try to better ourselves. So, and also get out of this thinking of just me and I and myself and what will enrich me and make me happy.
이제 개발지 가르치고 올라나 개발지에 가르치고 올라나 아니 좀만 되게 송게 나는 대초라 this 안가디 나 이거래요 말씀 가지 소에디 좀만 되게 송거래라는 디펜트고요 맞는데 좀만 되게 송거디 차선은 이거 다그래 아니 나라나 이거 다그래라디 아니 거리나 차선은 이거 다그래라면 소불을 틀린다 거리나 지금 뭐 와세디 소소한 사무실 나가면 애들 속에 나가서 시행하는 패턴이었어. 맞대와 들도 마이키고 예시도 말아서 나라게 치도 지도 참아. 나 열에 나 요말라나 나 열에 생기다 나 요말에 생기 가니 뭐래. 얘네 속에라나 소소 사무실 마다는 아니 그거는 이제 가서 누가 됐다고 누가 돼. 아무 나기 차단계 시디
So all of this reverts back to this focus on oneself, on me, on I. So there's the kind of the thought whether there is such an I or there's not an I, and there's the self. So even like say we do different practices like according to what's like prescribed, what's been given by the Buddha and the teachers. Like we do prostrations, we'll do mantras, we'll do practice, and that's all good. You know, there's benefit that comes from it. There's with the right training and thought, there's the purification that comes from it. However, if there is still that focus on me, and then you don't get out of the thinking of yourself, then there's not that wider benefit of others, because you're still only doing it for yourself. And so in that way, there's not the any substantial change to how we deal with the world and others. So that's really important to make that internal transformation, have that internal transformation to where you take that focus out of me and just thinking about the self. Telephone. Yeah.
나한테 이제 됐지.
So, for example, if you go into a store, if you go into like a phone store, you see all these mobile phones on display. And there's like all the different variations. Now it's whatever version it is, 13 or whatever. And you just see them. But we have a neutral feeling when we look at those items. There's no attachment. It's just, you're just viewing them for what they are. But once we buy one and take it home, that becomes our possession. So if somebody takes it, if somebody drops it, if someone breaks it, then that causes distress. And so there could be different feelings, emotions that arise, whether it's like getting upset that someone's broke your phone or taken it or whatever. So you could see where I comes in and that attachment and that self comes in. Whereas if you just see it in the store, if somebody breaks it, you just go, oh, well, there's no attachment at all. But once we possess something, that's ours. And so there's certain emotions that arise if something happens to that possession. So before the Buddha gave teachings in India, there of course are many other traditions, and certainly there was the investigation and exploration of that very subject of the self. Okay. So one of the kind of ideas, one of the thoughts for, so in India there's all these different traditions, and there were these kind of explorations or investigations of the self and the body and the eye. So one of the ideas was that just thinking that the self is associated with the aggregates, so the body, and the aggregate is directed by the self. So if the thought comes that I should go to Hilo or I should go here or there, it's directed by that self that's within. Well, as you can see, it's all this of this is relying on understanding the nature of self. Oh, you can see, think about anger. the anguish that arises over certain things, the attachment, desire, greed, and so forth. You can also see that there's different practices that people do, like prostrations and mantras and so forth. Like all of this is associated with what we do and what arises in one's mind. Also, even like where one's happiness arises from, where the suffering comes from, and so forth. And so we need to go back and see that even though we may repeating what was said earlier, that even with doing all these practices, unless we really have a clear understanding and recognition of what I consists of and how we understand the nature of the self.
Ni suma de es chance chene mo ma de es ni suma de la chama tanje che ni ripal ne de na ya na ma do na keles ya na ba mena kena no ma es the universe tanje ne.
And so a very one thing that the Buddha said was, whatever I teach, whatever I say, don't accept it just on face value. Look at it, listen to it, think about it, and investigate it to its very core. And if it's a benefit to you, then you can integrate that into your life. You can accept it. But if it's not, then just leave it. So this is a very important part of the Buddha's teaching, because of the many spiritual leaders in the world. There aren't too many religious leaders or many leaders that will say that, but this is quite important.
So the sum down and rebudget is the moment you had told some of the killer. Some wish to get it. Yeah, I am some report new the young conversation.
So just use your own intellect to think about it, to understand it, and if it is benefit, if you really think it's useful, then you can accept it. And if it's not, and you feel that it doesn't make sense, then you can put it aside. So, many times in the West, people who kind of engage in this path or kind of embark on this path want to see results right away. They want to attain enlightenment. They want to have some sort of accomplishment in a very short time. But honestly, that's not really that possible right away. It's really important to have all the backing for that type of goal and that type of accomplishment. And that means there's purification that needs to be done, purification, and also accumulation of merit. Those are really necessary in order to reach that goal of that we wish for, that accomplishment we wish for. Sometimes people think that it's just as easy as turning on the light. Just put on the light and that's it. You you listen to something, you practice it briefly, and there's some kind of some sign of accomplishment or even some accomplishment. It's not that easy and not that quick.
요즘 내가 몇달에 가던 자리에 요즘 내가 난감한 것이래. 요즘 내가 마바 통비 마르바게 요즘 내가 가던 요즘 내가 왕치 왕고 최시 제일 많이 초사들이 하시고 내가 하는 제일 이런 소리다.
So if you have heard this, about the biography of Milarepa, and all the hardships that he had to endure with his teacher Marpa, and for a very long time after meeting Marpa, he received no teachings at all, no teachings, no initiations. It was just putting him to task, putting him to work, and building houses and carrying rocks and moving the rocks and then redoing it over and over. So that was all a process of purification and his need to accumulate merit. And he did that, and he prevailed. But honestly, in this day and age, that type of endurance and that type of perseverance, it just really can't happen. It's just not possible. So it's just not that easy. If you find a good teacher and you receive instructions from that teacher and you follow it to a T, then there could be that realization. There could be some accomplishment that comes. So I think all of you know the story. So anyway, he had to go through all these trials and tribulations. I mean, just these tests where he didn't receive any teachings at all for long periods of time, for a long period of time. And Marpa's wife felt really sorry for him. So she just said, she expressed that, Milarepa just can't do this anymore. He just has to, it's got to stop. She felt so sorry for him. And so Marpa said, okay, then that so be it. He says, I actually have 2 or 3 or more tests and tasks for you for Milarepa. But since the wife urged him to stop such hardships, putting such hardship on Milarepa, he says, fine, I'll just start giving you teaching. So he gave him teachings, and so then Milarepa goes off and meditates and for a long time. And that itself, he had a hard time. It wasn't that easy. So it's the thought is, if Marpa had actually sent Milarepa through the extra tests and tasks, the 2 or 3 or more, then it said that Milarepa probably in his actual practice, he wouldn't have had to go through that many hardships because he had already, kind of done it.
因为你听不懂嘛，因为你听不懂嘛，多半电影参考소설 대상 무체의 동의에 만도 소설 대상에 만도 기록 예 소설 제시에 상을 가서 제가 쉬는 이 동의에 상관이
So if you listen to or read the biographies of past great masters, there's not any that just sort of sit around and just sit there and listen to the teachings and then just lay around and come to their practice comes to fruition like that way. I have not heard any of such tales of masters doing that. There's always a need for purification and for accumulation of merit.
아무래도 우리 정말 사회적으로 지금 찾아나 사회용 잡아 정말 가시지 아니 자기잖아
to back to Jana your mare or Maya mare.
나한테다 가시지 근데 자료를 너무 무슨 자료를 시행하는데 이겁니다 정말로 그래요 주진 자료를 시행하고 그거는 기본 소소한 자료다 그래서 나는 무슨 문제인지 좀 고민을 좀 자료를 배우고 찾으려면 쉽도
So like in the case of Jason Copper, it's the same way. He spent many years in practice, in a cave with few provisions. He just had black tea, no butter, anything like that, and small amount of sampa. No milk, no special milk tea, no butter, and just a small amount of sampa. So he just had very, very little in the way of provisions, and that's how he sustained himself, and just really, really put effort into the practice, and then until he had visions of Manjushri. But it just didn't come right away. It really took much effort.
We made to coffee and milk tea, very delicious food. We want morning coffee and milk tea, and everyone's been that.
Yes.
So we say, I'm practicing. It's impossible. There was a children in a way now, go together. Somebody, somebody else has a way now, and it go together that is in the middle.
Sausage and then gonga and the colored. So it all goes back to the same importance of purification of negative emotions, of afflictions, and accumulating merit through various deeds and ways. And then, of course, meditation based on what we have learned and putting effort in such a way. I think it's very hard for us just to kind of go about our lives as we have. If we want to attain a certain level of certain level of practice, of accomplishments, it needs all that has been said. But we can't just sit around and sort of do a few prayers, look at our mobile phones, and expect that we'll get anywhere, and like have our delicious food and so on and so forth. So it's really the need for contemplation of all of these ideas, all of these kind of thoughts, this thinking about that's important, and then doing whatever we can to accomplish merit and to reduce negativity.
Reality. What's the truth? Reality.
What is the essence of reality? So we really have to pinpoint, have to go and kind of see what really is the essence, what's the crux, what's the point of reality. That's an important part. Now we will get into the text. Verse 6, on verse 6.
Ani anda dito kung siwala din sanjama ever to ba nasi to ba chileni sawadan di kerche damada se anda di uma ba mata ani siwa chande ade bana nasi to ba chileni
anda nasi coba
kasi masu dadu tepo dadu ke ko da sen kalau da nami mani yes bo nasi
Jiba somebody, dak the yoga, maybe jiba somebody, jiba. So this verse goes, by grasping at it, the childish strengthen bondage to extreme views. For the wise, this very fact is the doorway to cut free from the net of elaborations. So often when you hear this term childish, it often refers to all of us, everyone in general, because a child doesn't have the wide understanding, the broad understanding of reality and life. But in this case, in this particular case, childish is referring to a certain point to there's different tenets, different points of view that were established and accepted by various schools. And so what this is saying, that those particular folks, those particular practitioners who are quite childish, it is the ones who have the view that everything exists in a natural way, that that things inherently exist, that the self is actually part of what the self is inherent. That is one particular view, which according to the highest point of philosophy, this is a kind of a mistaken view, thinking that the self naturally or inherently exists. So is that difficult to understand? If it is, then it's going to put more effort into understanding it. Yeah. So if a person has this view that there isn't, that the self inherently exists, then they are bound by this extreme view. It's like a bondage. So, and once this being bound into this type of view, there isn't the ability to release it into kind of having a broader view and understanding the correct view. And so going back to what we talked about earlier, that self, you know, thinking I'm happy, I'm unhappy, I need this, like that, I'm this and that. So being bound into like kind of bound by that actuality of the self and thinking of that as being like the center of the universe, that's really important, then there's no way to really cut through the net of elaborations. There's no of regions. So do you think of a net that's thrown out there to catch fish and so forth? You think of a net. In order to cut through that, you need some very sharp scissors, something sharp, something that's able to cut through. Otherwise, it's impossible. So if that philosophy, that thought that the self exists and we're bound by that, then it's really impossible to really be free from that net of elaborations. So we need those sharp scissors, which basically is that understanding of dependent origination. All right, so prepare your questions. We're into the seventh verse. Since this teaching is not seen elsewhere, you alone are the teacher. Like calling fox a lion for a titika, it would be a word of flattery. So the first two lines is basically saying that this particular type of thought, this teaching, this philosophy of dependent origination, it has not been taught elsewhere. And you, the Buddha, alone have raised or taught this particular concept of dependent origination. And so the second two lines is referring to like calling a fox a lion, which obviously isn't the case because a lion is that much more powerful. It's that much more expressive and all the things that lions do that a fox cannot. So to call something that's not something like a fox, a lion, would be like way too much flattery. And so it's basically, this verse is in praise of the Buddha for his teaching on dependent origination, that you are the one who's taught this.
근데 손 윗점바디 땡중 윗동바디 손이 윗점바디 뜸바라 뜸바 약도르샤 에마오 뜸바 에마오 짭지 짭죠 에마오 마르스리 손 순전하게 제가 체체쇼 아니 내용쇼 저런 것이.
So the 8th verse is continuing with that, like that praise, wondrous teacher, wondrous refuge, wondrous speaker, wondrous savior. So it's saying that based on this teaching on dependent origination, it's just you're an amazing teacher and a protector and speaker and refuge. And so, as you know, these verses being written by Jason Kappa, he's paying homage to that teacher. He's through his practice of prostrations and other practices that he has done. He's paying homage and giving praise to the Buddha who taught so well this dependent origination.
Never to the native one, never made a man, never a sweat one. Didn't know she never nothing as a judge, nothing. Didn't have a city. And I mean, soldier should be given on by the socials. And so he furthermore praises the Buddha for teaching this the nature of emptiness in accordance with dependent origination. So it's like and it's really the best medicine. It's really the medicine which cures all, because if we have the understanding and can pierce through the veil of ignorance and really understand this nature of emptiness through dependent origination, is like a doctor giving the proper medicine to someone who's sick, because it's really that which can eradicate the suffering. And so in the case of the mind, it's the illness of desire, anger, ignorance, and so forth, all the different afflictions of mind. So this emptiness, the heart of the teachings, really is that which can cut through, can pierce through all of these, the different types of afflictions. And so this very kind of precious teaching that we're given on the nature of emptiness and wisdom, it's like it is medicine. It's medicine for the mind. It's medicine that we can't just put aside. If we really want to be healed, then we need to eat that medicine. So in hearing this teaching, then it's really like applying it and thinking about it and making use of it. We are very big sick Being one for doctor, doctor. I will give you medicine, but you didn't take the medicine, you did all medicine by, then you put it in your channel. It's not really good for yourself. You should take the medicine morning, afternoon, evening, meals. Doctor say you should take this one medicine. Then you will be good for your sick. You don't want to use medicines, you take medicine by from pharmacy, pharmacies, and you put it in your tablet, or you keep medicine. Take it in the impossible you benefit for yourself, right? You understand my English?
Yes.
Yes, we do. It's very good. You can teach in English, Geshe-la. Yeah, Geshe-la. Mhm, mhm, mhm. Mhm. And so going further, on this subject of dependent origination, it's based on also on cause and result. Okay, so if you think of something that is existent, is present, you need to see if it's reliant on something. Is it there of its own accord? Is it there without reliance on anything else? So, or is it reliant on something? Is it there because of many parts and conditions and causes? And so those two do not they don't exist side by side. They don't. They are not the same. So either you have one or the other. Either you have things that are there because there are many causes and conditions and reliance and interdependence, or they just appear and exist by themselves. So you can't put them side by side. They don't match. So if you think of the word dongba, right? Empty, dongba. You need to think Nanshin dongba. Is it empty in its very nature? Nanshin dongba. Does it exist? Does it exist, or is it naturally empty of existence? Amen. So if it naturally exists, then it's that it exists without reliance on anything else. It appears, it's there, and there's no interdependence on anything. There's no dependence on anything. But if we really think about what exists in the world, if we look and really think about everything that exists in the world, each and everything is reliant on something. It just doesn't appear, it just isn't there by itself.
这方面吧，然后给对比用的，对比用这方面边，然后给多动吧，没有成，
Number.
对，去当这包出来的那个，对比方， 对不对吧？
If all phenomena exist because of other conditions,
就是对比用的，把对比然后你去，
then that which doesn't rely on anything, that's got to go.
这个动吧，这种没有成，
So then that makes that empty. That voids that those it voids that that idea that things exist by itself without other conditions.
除了什么呢？我说说什么呢？说说肯定不讲，说说的哪里搞了，对面读不读，对面读不读，把对面然后读不读，大家听，把对面然后如果你要把就没了，他就什么？
So we have to think, we have to contemplate that, really think about it. And even it's not just outer phenomena, it's not outer things, but also in reference to the self. Like how does the self exist? Is it just there, or is that self and whatever is associated with the self? Does that just is it just there without any other causes and conditions?
对的，我是通过人类，我这个这个，我当，我是高度，通过人类，通过的生活有人类，通过的生活就有人类，通过人类做你。
Okay, so one question you can ask is, am I these aggregates, this body, the body that has all these aggregates, or is it something else? ？So if we think that I, the self, is if the self is the aggregates, is if we are the aggregates, then there will be many parts because there's 5 aggregates, and in addition to that, there's limbs and parts of the self, of the body. So that means if I is associated to these aggregates, the 5 aggregates, the limbs and so forth, then there will be many eyes, many selves, and in reality, there's only the one eye.
我爱人，我刚把的爱，我的爱，当然，你这个人，你这好多东西就这样，刚把好多东西不是，当然刚把的好多东西不了，你这好多东西，日本日本不是，我是但是那个。
So it's just the different ways of analyzing this and thinking about it. Like if you think I am these aggregates, and the form, the aggregate form, and all the limbs that are associated with form, then I it can actually it's quite disturbing because then I will be just that the foot that is put into the shoe. It's like that becomes the I, and that's not the soul self. That's not the I, because that's just part of the self. So.
你是讲你，那你是讲主宰人多？那你是讲主宰，你是讲你是讲主，那你是讲主宰人多？刚我讲我，你说不定还有三当过吧？那你这个你说不定你这个不是这个你这个那说不定还有没有？说不定这个人他确实人哪有过？不对，你这个韩国人来指。
한국 countries? Okay. So, like when we get into bed, we say, I'm in bed. So your whole body's in bed, and you say that's what we normally say. I'm in bed. But and so if you actually then if you think that I am the different aggregates, such as the leg or the foot, and that foot goes into the shoe. If that is the I, then that really means your entire body goes into the shoe.
This is one logic.
That's one logic. Oh, Mama, you know. Okay, so you can see the fault, or the fault of thinking that I am the different parts, the different aggregates. Now, if we say, okay, well, we're not that, then what are we? What else is there?
I would say, I didn't have it. I would say, no.
So this is all what we need. This is kind of a riddle, I guess. It's like to think about who am I? What am I? What is this self? Amare. And it's so funny. This is a kind of a interesting thought. Like when you drive, so you're driving, and so you say I'm driving, and then if you brake, your foot goes on the brake. So we say I put my foot on the brake. I brake the car. I put the foot on the and then it's on the brake. I put on the brake. So it's me. I stopped it.
It's foot brake,
But it's the foot that did it.
it's not me. You foot, then you go to your foot, your shoes going inside, then you also going inside of the shoes. It's right.
Yeah, but it's part of you though. But the foot is part of you. Right?
Part of you, but not you, right? You should brake. Your foot should take a brake, push brake. This is your brake.
Yeah.
This is not
Okay. So get it?
you.
So your foot is on the brake pedal. So you say I stop the car. But that itself, that's not you. That's only a part of you. So it's just like so you have to kind of think about all that. What is it? It's like putting that foot in the shoe. Is that your entire body? Is it you that did it? Now he's teasing you, Jeff. He says, this is so much thought that you're going to lose more. Yeah, right? Give you
Okay, yeah, question.
Okay, now we're into the question and answer period. Okay, Jesse. It's quite a head twister.
So, the notion because of the choose someone of what I did not choose on.
So Disher wants to make it clear this is not just Dharma, it's not just religion, right? It's really like food for thought. It's like really something to think about and something we can apply and how we can use this. It's like the relation to quantum physics. Hey, Jeff.
I have two questions. Before the subject matter we talked about Jutrian's trials and I forget the word you used to describe the trial. But the wife wanted to try to save. Save. I'm sorry, Milarepa from additional hardship.
Right.
But really, there was no secret to saving him from this hardship necessary for him to move forward. Because his teacher also intended to present more hardship so that he could go through that period and grow. So what I'm understanding from that is that there's no foot.
There's a Milarepa Marpa Yum from the college castle. The Shasha the Teresa. You should have Madame Agres, just when you Marpa, Quran Dinisum, Diganga, Younger Chick Naya dos Jixons on. Just a shortcut your Marisa, Teresa, Declaresa, give long your Marisa, Quran de Teresa, Marpa Younger Gigi Caresa, Chick down there, Chick Cheviana. And then come get to test the color numbers. Dean my Chevians, come get to the Caresa. Mobin numbers. Chesa the never Chevian, sugar numbers. Just a dumbo to Mopella, the Cheviana, and Chick Paterasa. The Caresa. Get one your Marisa, the never sir your Marican. And the Machabine, Quran, the Comcaptain number, the Chabayana, and Comcaptain to numbers. That's all. So there's no short, yeah.
Also the individual sosa, Togate sosa, sosa. Is it Marvel you find the joy or side? Then maybe Quran to do the toy outside. Majusa,
Yeah, you're pretty much right. Because they're both, whether it was the extreme of going through the hardships that were imposed on him, or going to the cave and meditating, which seems somewhat more easier, I guess I could use that word. It's the same because he still had to purify, and he still had to accumulate merit. So it was, if it had been done one way, then it would have been less at the other end. Since he didn't do the 3 or 4 whatever extra, hardships that were considered to give to him, he had to do that in the meditation. So yeah.
Wants to just 연락이 가서 말하기 송주 말하고 인사 연락 송주 저기나 수임만 공개하면 제가 송주 씨를 제가 뭐 그 경우도 영화 그런 영화 안 하는데 그때 있는 거지 지금 말하가 영어 나무 되게 말하기 너무 인정제네 그러니 이게 좀 왔어요 라마 총벌레가 다들 지자다 지금 말하기 있어요
알레디 유튜브에
용지
알레디
말하기 있어요 원래 냠바지 꼴 가서 나오고 지금 말하기 꼴이나 이제 꼴
아니 마포천벌에
마포천이랑
서연말에 아니 유튜브
이게 두 인질이 상태 바로 나
음,
내가
음,
저살나
음.
바로 또좀 찍고 또 찍고 프랑키스를 가리 그런 걸 이제 되는 거 말이야 이거는 이제 봤어 내가 이 진짜 말을 이게 두스 오늘 이제는 코로나 내가 제일 쉬운 아마 나는 이게 좀 어떻게 이런 말했어 그래서 이게 몰라서 하고 같이 말했어
음.
그래서 또 이거
So, yeah, there's no shortcuts because there's another story of how, because of, the hardships that Miller had under Martha's guidance, where the wife felt sorry for him, and Martha wouldn't give him any teachings, right? Just all this work. And so the wife, decided to write a letter and to help Miller out because he wanted teaching so bad. And so Miller knew about this, but Martha didn't. So she wrote a letter, and it sort of under the guise that it was from Martha, and put it in something, and it was an offering that Miller could take to another teacher who was, and so this other teacher, because he sees this letter that he thinks is from Martha, he gives him initiations and teachings and so on. And so the Miller thought, great, I'll go meditate and I'll do this. And so he did, and he meditated, but nothing happened. And so he went back, and the Lama says, well, this letter is from Martha. And then I guess he had to admit that that wasn't really true. And then that it was just something that the wife had written. And so the Lama said that that's not acceptable. That isn't going to work. So he sent him back, because even though he received all these initiations and he thought he was going to get ahead, but it didn't because he wasn't ready. Second question.
Okay, second question, this one is a little more heavy. So if I exist based on causes and conditions, therefore don't really exist, my understanding, my interpretation of the Dharma also is based on causes and conditions. But does the Dharma itself exist based on causes and conditions?
Đi chịu ya hụt. Em nói 기존 때문에 기존 때문에 나는 내 최년에 이 최저나 그 최디 최양 기존 때문에 디지레사.
condition
Oh, yeah, the
not exist small
even the Dharma
not exist to small atom
down to the atom.
all this condition this house your body your mind your speech another condition if you allow if you allow stay in this universe impossible and once you eat and once you stay home you want a blanket this all conditions cause right impossible you're allowed impossible stay life relationship is very just like mother. So saying to children, Buddhicharya Avatariya. So many things, very kind of all sentient being. So the respect to all sentient being is very important. So your clothes. So you should wear to your clothes. This quality, clothes quality. You can wear it.
Are you able to make that piece of clothing that you're wearing? So another kind of benefit. Another way to look at it is because everything is so codependent, everything, right? That everything that exists is reliant on others, right? So everything that we use, that we wear, that we eat is something that's produced by somebody else. So that shirt that you're wearing, it's made by others. And there's many levels to just that shirt, right? So in that way, we should also appreciate the work and efforts of other beings, and therefore, generate some good thoughts to them and appreciate what we have, which is reliant on like really numerous beings. So that's another kind of direction, another way to look at this. It's not just the emptiness, but also a way to generate kindness and appreciation for others. But Joshua, so what Jeff is saying is, so if I don't exist, right, except based on causes and conditions, but I think it's important to understand that we exist on one level, but not on an ultimate level. Because I'm losing my words. Because
Good.
you know,
나 ning tam tobe shato mado yo.
mhm,
Good yo.
mhm,
Kino yo.
mhm,
Ashapat.
mhm,
So shabat ti mishire na. Kino shi ibi jumse kaya yo ma. Kano mishire started. Mishire someone mishire last week.
mhm,
Kano mishire ibi jumse kaya kem.
mhm,
Kano this mishire.
mhm, mhm.
Kano really no.
So where I was going with it is on one level, on this like relative level, you do have all these things, right? I mean, it does exist, and it's not completely empty. And it's like say those glasses. It's like we give it a name that they're glasses and they have a certain purpose, and we recognize that purpose, and then those glasses have many parts to it, right? It's just that we often think of it as just being what it is, what we see it and we just accept it and don't think further. But if we really analyze it, you can see that, it's something, it's like it's got a name, there's imputation that these are glasses that have a purpose and so on and so forth. And so therefore, we need to understand that they don't exist just by itself. There's many parts to it. So based on the many components, then that arises as a pair of glasses, that appears as that's made as a pair of glasses. But in reality, when you actually break it apart, you can't really find a particular part of it that are the glasses. Right? See, so like say I have this title of a geshe, right? But that just didn't appear by itself. It's just, like when I was born, I didn't come out as a geshe. It's just 3 years of study and so forth and so forth. You kind of gain this reputation or gain this title of being a geshe. So, like say you have the name Sangbo, and that's supposed to be a good man, right? So, are you a good man? You know, where does that goodness come from? And so you need to look at that. It's like, you know, because you've been given this name and the meaning of the name, but it's like in reality, it's like, where does that name exist? Where are you? Where is the Sangbo? Yeah, it's like it's the imputation of something, right? It's like just like giving a title, giving a name, giving something to an object or a person. Oh, I need those people. I need those people.
Elaborate step further.
Good.
I'm sorry. Probably more my question is. A little bit more on
They can come in.
is the divine natural truth dependent on cause conditions?
The divine natural truth is it based on causes and conditions? Okay. 确定我第一呢佢係兩件咗嘅真係，這個是我全我跟佢是ultimate. You folks can come in, please come in. There's chairs and cushions in here. Hi, Miss Chen. Hi, come on in. And your parents can come in too. We're just finishing our class. Yeah. So there's a chair here and you want another chair? Or you want to sit on a cushion? There's cushions, sit on a cushion, please. And your mom can come too, and your dad can come. Not it, no. Closer. She done no. Maybe no, don't she done no. Do you Logan John a dinner? Did Teresa? Let him give it. Even Jabba.
Someone give me the university or not.
Well, it's like the universe, or just if you think of the world and its contents, okay, so it's called the vessel and its contents. So basically it's the world and sentient beings and everything that lies within the world. This formation, or this exists due to a collective karma of all the sentient beings within. And so therefore it's based on cause, it's cause and result, because we have a collective karma. And so the vessel and the contents, whatever collective karma we have, then we have to, that's what it is.
Well, so much was in the
But individually, right? For us individually, we have our individual karma and the way we live, the way we exist, what we do, and so forth. So that is an individual karma and result. Result of our individual actions and karma. So, this subject of merit is kind of an interesting one because, like, say we'd all work and do different things in our life for a living and so forth. But sometimes people have a really hard time. And it's like even if they're educated or even if they work hard, sometimes there's not that success and prosperity that comes to them. And often we say that's because there's a certain lack of merit. There's something there that is preventing that. Because really, if everybody works hard and goes the same way, why are there some folks that excel more? So that merit is quite important. So how do you?
Zoom question?
Not on Zoom.
No question.
Okay, I have a question just for everybody. So if merit is so important, people ask this quite often. How do you make merit? Yeah. So what?
Answer is very easy.
Yeah, people ask this all the time.
Yeah. How to manage, like to manage.
Mm-hmm.
Many items. So you can temper also merit.
Mm-hmm.
So the presentation is one merit. You organization somewhere 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
This is also very merit,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And often the Buddha and Bodhisattva say and this one.
Mm-hmm.
This is also very merit.
Mm-hmm.
Many times even also you put into the practice. This is more than merit could be.
Mm-hmm.
Also actions and meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Many times,
Mm-hmm.
1 and 100, 1 to 100.
Mm-hmm. But if you do practice, if you don't do Vajrasattva, if you don't prostrate, if you are just a normal person, like somebody who doesn't. Yeah.
This is all. No, they have not been the very
So like say a person who doesn't even come here, like who just works, like the carpenters, or the painter who doesn't have much idea about Dharma. They're just maybe a good person or maybe they're a bad person, but how do they make merit? Let's say they送给片大家吃片吃当然心里面呢 and they want to cheer test. Mm-hmm.
So, so I constantly say we need to change the motivation. This motivation is very important. We're thinking, I should make a merit. So games and paintings, this is also making a merit. Money only thinking, so suddenly money, this is not making the money. This is different.
Okay, I understand. It's just because yeah.
For you on your own.
Thank you, Vishnu.
Important.
Hi, hello. Hi.
No.
So I have two questions depending on my understanding and cognition process. So the first one is before the teaching formally starts, you use the example of milk tea and coffee. So just to make sure I understand it correctly, is your medicine for us not to drink milk tea or coffee? Or do we not attached to the habit of drinking milk tea and
I don't think that was the point.
which is related to second point.
这个不是我说，等等我还是June 不就还是
Only having 20.
公就还是 빵 왜 말해 자막보다 상품은 그래서 milk tea down butter 왜 말해서 그래서 개수를 만들어 milk tea down 린디테나 그래서 뒤 마토를 뒤 근선지를 해서 그냥
in the modest, this is thinking negative side, it's not very.
you got the wrong idea. That's not the point.
When we come up with meditation time, food is not rest time, making out food. So very small and just enough like this. More meditation time, 4 times we do meditation. So we are trying working on food and quickly like this,
Yeah.
we should not bring to practice. It's like stupid.
So he says, because we have certain comforts, right? We're used to certain comforts. We like butter tea or we like sugar tea. We like things like this and that. And what he was saying was that
No milk, only dry tea and water. So water warm, hot water making, and put in the black tea, drinking enough. Then people also doing meditation. So we have a quality milk and coffee, so many,
Yes.
so then we should learn to with delicious tea.
But
and that's okay, right? It's okay. We're not
I mean, if we don't spend time putting in milk, putting in honey, then we can save some time to practice, right?
that Quran 그래서 예수를 가르치는데 카툭 디식을 때문에 뒤쪽이로 그래서 먼저 그래서 엄마당 장세 마게미 애매추 냐면 제 두스망을 해서 말을 해서
Just now read out. Well, don't want to learn.
but you can't take it so literally. Honestly, don't be so literal. It's not that you shouldn't put milk and honey and waste time doing that. But that's fine for you to have some provisions and tea and what you like. Just do practice when you have time. That's the point. It's like, but sometimes maybe don't get too comfortable with this and that. And so what he was saying was Jason Kappa just he kind of let go of a lot of his comforts and he didn't have very much. So that was okay. But we have, and so you don't have to cheat yourself or like stop yourself from having honey and tea. That's not the point. 인가? So you have to apply the teachings according to our ability. Okay, so when you hear the teaching or a certain phrase or a certain thing, you have to hear it and understand it to its true meaning. Okay, and then with reason, then you can do something which is reasonable. So like you don't have to think that you have to go into a cave and just have a spot of tea and sampa, like Jason Kappa, because that's not possible in this day and age. So just do what you have the ability to do. It's in the London Journal. He speaks of this. Second question.
So yeah, second question is so for realized master who understands the essence of emptiness, then in terms of our daily life, when doing something, how, I mean, say, use the example as driving the car when Geshe-la said, who is braking the car with our feet? But then it's us. Obviously, most of us confused. In that sense, as someone who is realized, how is that person feeling when braking the car?
That's a good question. When the motor down mirror and we brake and do the number is and kita put bangsa yun and motor down do the brake and do the car somebody car somewhere nekambar company car somebody and the bangsa yun car somebody
그건 그냥 강사의 머리만
Well, I realize, Master, they won't have to drive a car. They can just fly.
됐을 거란 말은 뭐이나 아무튼 생겨도 이해가 되는 나도 너무 가가지고
Not to complicate it.
너무 가가지고 this is my 나도 이해가 가가지고
But if such a person is driving a car, he has the awareness that when his foot is pressing on the car, it's not him alone. It's like his foot's pressing on it. So there's just a sort of a delineation of me. It's just like I am doing this, but it's actually the foot that's pressing on it.
이해가 되는 것이 이해가 되는 것이
Do
나이는 그 나도 강바지 가가지고 강바지 가가지고 위에 시대도 정도
so there's a delineation. It's like the foot is pressing on the pedal, but it's like not taking all the credit, basically, if I may use those words, that I did it. Right? It's me. It's all upon me. So it's like the yeah, no, I don't think he quite understands.
You understand?
So that person would be thinking of braking the car when it's needed without the sense of self.
And the brake should do and then not around the something is not dire, not the fellows that dealer, as a boxing with Mari. As a Tumberman and then Lazim never it.
Sure.
And company to put up the well, first of all, somebody who's realized will not have that attachment to the aggregates, the body as being me, I, right? They have that understanding. Amen? Mm-hmm. And then when the foot presses on the pedal, there's that realization that from the member young persona. So
Yep, bottle of water.
who's coughing? Jim?
Is that? Yeah, the water. This one.
She okay?
This water gives the pump.
Who? Trong đây là ta về ngon em biết.
Yeah, sir.
So just as like we were describing the glasses is imputation by name, right? It's like these are the glasses. So when the person who is realized is pressing on the pedal, he has the knowledge or the awareness that that foot is being motivated or directed by the self. But it's not the self that's pressing it.
Also that.
I think so. I think. Yeah, this is good. That's good, Sangbo.
Okay, then. Your question?
Person disappeared. Yes, sir.
In the Shashana.
Just a communication. Just talking about that.
Jupajana.
So what? The communication.
See that again?
Constitutes communication.
What causes purification?
Constitutes.
Or what constitutes? Jupajana. The Chikaisa. The Jupajana Kairis. Jupajana.
I'm sure 자주 생각하면 되는.
So purification, the best practice is bodhicitta and meditating on emptiness.
That's what we're doing. That's
And if you can't do that, then accumulate some merit. Which earlier he said, which I didn't translate, is that for a practitioner, you can do 100 syllable mantra, you can do prostrations, you can make offerings, you can clean the temple, you can do all of this stuff for somebody who has some knowledge of practice.
자주 생각.
Imbochen, Magi Banim Gigi, Yabanyam Bam, Only Kambo Kawa Show. Che, thank you so much, Geshe. Good questions, you guys.